The U.S. Department of Education is laying off nearly half of its staff. What could that mean for American public education? Here are the perspectives for and against, according to sources across the political spectrum. Let's start with some of the main reasons people argue for downsizing the Department of Ed. Some argue that education should be more state-run, should be localized and with no federal involvement in order to respond directly or better respond to the needs of specific students and communities. There's also a belief that if education is localized, states would have more flexibility to experiment with different teaching and learning models, which may or may not be reflective of each state's specific priorities and values. Secondly, much of the downsizing of the federal bureaucracy is claimed to be by the Trump administration to increase efficiency and diminish administrative waste. It's their belief that by largely eliminating federal oversight, funds would be directed to where they matter most, to students, parents, and teachers. Those in favor of abolishing the DOE strongly feel that parents, not the government, play a fundamental role in choosing and directing the upbringing and education of their children. This component of the stance mostly focuses on abolishing the quote-unquote woke ideology that has allegedly pervaded the nation's classrooms. Some argue issues like race, gender, sexuality, and their impact on American history should be phased out of K-12 education. Those against eliminating the Department of Education, of course, have contrasting views. Opponents emphasize that the department plays a crucial role in ensuring all students have access to quality education, and that with only localized control over schooling, there will be no national learning standards. As well, without federal oversight, there's a worry that wealthier states would have better funded schools while poorer states would struggle. While federal financial aid is expected to keep flowing to the nation's schools despite the recent mass layoffs, those against abolishing the DOE don't see how the agency is going to be able to adequately distribute those funds to schools and to students without a disruption at some point in the near future. The most affected groups are likely to be low-income students, students with disabilities, and schools that rely heavily on federal funding. There's also a major concern regarding a disruption of national research and data. Whether or not we have an ability to assess how educational inequities progress is going to be a huge challenge because the entire research arm that tries to go through and put together research on a national basis about schools and about educational progress and achievement is fundamentally gone. Lastly, there's a huge fear that without this department, experts worry civil rights protections will not be enforced. The role of the federal government really is to try and ensure that every student has the ability to get to school, to stay in school, and to finish school. The department tries to achieve that goal by enforcing civil rights. For example, by trying to make sure that students with disabilities get funding that they need and that they're in fact entitled to by federal law. It's important to note that this change isn't happening in isolation. The broader conversation about the federal role in education has been and is and will likely continue to be ongoing. What are your thoughts? Share your perspective in the comments below.